Welcome to Season 3 of John McGivern's Main Streets.
Bring the camera over here.
The Main Streets podcast takes you behind the scenes of this popular TV program. As we explore great communities across the Midwest on the show each week, you can come here to get the inside scoop from host John and Emmy and the Main Streets producer and director Lois. Listen in as they recount some of their favorite memories from filming and the interesting stories that you won't find anywhere else. We've got lots to share with you from John McGivern's Main Street Season 3. To watch the show, check your local listings. It's also available to stream on the free PBS video app on Roku, Apple TV, and other digital devices, smart TVs, and everywhere you stream TV. John McGivern's Main Streets is produced by Plum Media in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
This is John McGivern's Main Streets podcast. We're talking episode 7. And it was an episode that we got to stay close to home, Waukesha, Wisconsin. I loved it.
Well, that's because you live in the most beautiful place, and you got to, drink your
That wasn't
amazing
why I loved
coffee.
it. I loved it because they had a picnic for us.
And it's right down the road.
It's right down the road, and it was the first time, I think, ever in doing, we did Around the Corner for 9 years, and now we're on our third episode, third season of John McGivern's Main Streets, and it's the first time that the city had a picnic with all the city employees.
For you, though, truly, they did it because you were going there, right? Isn't that right?
And because the mayor is an actual barbecuer who competes in barbecue competitions across the country. Now, he's given it up since he's been mayor. Right. However, he used to travel with his barbecue buddies and enter these contests and win.
What a great life. Doesn't that sound like fun?
Yeah. And not only was the barbecue good, you know what I'm going to talk about.
Oh, I know. The PF.
The fluff.
The pistachio fluff.
The PF. I was like, what is she talking about? The pistachio fluff. That was made by one of the city employees.
Because the mayor provides the barbecue, but the employees provide the sides. So think of that old-fashioned potluck, and they had it all set up.
I felt Lutheran that day.
You felt
like we were in the basement, but we were in the park.
It was so nice that they set all that up, tables full of sides and, pasta salad. And the pistachio fluff is just part of my DNA, so it didn't make the impression on me that it did on you, because you were like, oh my God. I get it every picnic I go to, John.
See, we don't. I have to make sure somebody makes it for Thanksgiving, but it was such a part of my youth that to run into it as an adult, I'm like, oh, but and it's not even so much. It brings it all back, and it talks about tradition, which I think is really, really important. So when it showed up and it looked like my family's fluff, I was just like, oh my God.
Well, you made her day too, and she was what, maybe 30 years old? I mean, she was not like the Aunt Agnes age that we expected to bring the fluff.
And what did she say? Something about I should move in, or what did she say? I'm engaged.
Because Emmy sat down and said,
were you coming on to her?
That's what she said. I was like, oh my God, I just watched a fluff lady. You don't watch the show, or you have no idea who I am, do you? Because the fact that you told me you're engaged, like there was a chance.
She was really sweet, though.
I was like, my boyfriend wouldn't like it either.
That's all you have to say, though. Shut up right there.
Right. There was something that happened in this episode that has never happened in any episode of any television I've ever done.
Really?
Oh,
a 5-hour shoot in one segment. We had 5 hours. Can I tell you it was worth it? We have to talk about how well worth it was. It was a
Pam's Kitchen.
Pam's Kitchen on Main Street, and she teaches cooking classes, and she has kitchens. So there's not just one kitchen. I think there's 4 kitchens in the building, and she rents kitchen space to entrepreneurs and to people who have small businesses. So not only did we participate in making paella that night, we watched some entrepreneurs make their products that were then up for sale in Pam's Kitchen. It's kind of a brilliant model. Whoever thought of doing this really was smart. And not only did we make the food, then we sat down and ate the food. So
I
we got there maybe
hope
about
you did.
4:30, and I got home yesterday. We were there. I was there. We were there till 9, I believe. 8:30, quarter to 9.
But the reason was because we started with the artisans. That's what Pam calls the people that rent
The
her
artisans.
kitchens. She has 4 kitchens that have cooktops, but she also has an area that has all bakery, area that has cold.
Right.
You know, I mean, so think of anything with food, and you can do it at Pam's Kitchen. And the 2 entrepreneurs or artisans they had, one was a toffee maker. So that took a while because those were a lot of samples going on that day, John.
Yeah.
And then there was another guy, Jed, who has a company called Fed by Jed, who prepares meals that he
Fed by
delivers.
Jed.
Yes.
I love it.
Fed by Jed.
Yes.
It's so good.
Yeah.
So did this woman have a restaurant and then the idea just kind of grew from there? Because
Yeah.
I remember a couple friends who are from Waukesha and I asked them, where should we go? And everybody, if you say Chef Pam, they
Yeah.
all know her.
Oh.
She was in a smaller area. She just moved
Next
to
door.
this bigger area,
Okay.
right? And the reason she did was she could fit 4 kitchens. And the way she told us was that COVID really did a lot of things. When people had to stay home, they all had this idea about entrepreneurship and a lot around cooking because they were in their own kitchens. Well, you can't just make stuff in your home kitchen and sell it. There's rules, there's guidelines. The FDA
Right.
doesn't like that.
Right.
So you have to do it in an industrial kitchen. So she realized the opportunity. And think about it. You could still distance. This person would come in at this time. They would clean up. Next people would come. So it really kind of grew up out of COVID. But she is very well respected. Her food is really, really good. And she's like one of the nicest people you'll ever meet.
Funny.
I think it's so interesting though, because I'm sure you've had people say to you, oh, you must do this show all in one day. And I think this is a really great, just, you know, kind of insider's tip as to sometimes how long these segments can take to get the best stuff.
Yeah.
And to not just go in there and say, well, we're here to just shoot what we need and then we're out. Like that's when you really spent a lot of time, but you're
There was no way of not doing that.
right.
But she had, after you do the cooking classes at Chef Pam's, there's dinner. And everybody that helped prepare the meal, because they all do stuff. You might have to chop, you might have to cut, you might have to saute. They all get their hands in this dish that then they share. It's the common table theme. And so John sat at the head of the table, and you know, they had the dinner that they prepared, and people make friends right there that last. She said there's no kind of bonding like you can do over food. So people that don't know each other at all will take a class with their spouse or whatever. They'll meet another couple there, and now they come back and take more classes, or they meet their friends. And
Because she switches up cuisine.
Yeah.
So she'll do French, she'll do baking, and she's really smart. And these people then return. It's a lot of return business for her.
Well, you know good food. What did you think of the food and what kind of food was it?
Paella. So it was.
I've never had that.
So it's fresh seafood in a rice there's paella dishes. She had a pan, it's a paella pan, which was as big as a small dining room table that she put on this industrial oven. And so there's a real science to it. And she did a great job, and it was delicious. It was really delicious. And then there was dessert that we had, and people could have sat for a lot longer. We've been working all day. We've been there all day.
Right,
So
right.
this was our last segment of the day to shoot at 4 o'clock. I didn't know that we'd be there till 9 because Lois, who I know she can hear me because she's in the room, just didn't really go through exactly what we were going to do. So
For good
once we
reason.
started chatting, and it was like, you've got to be kidding. We're going to what?
Lois knew.
Oh,
She
she
just
knew.
didn't.
She
Sometimes,
left before we did.
which never
She
happens.
was like, okay, gotta go. I'm like, who's gotta go?
But to your point, everybody said you got to do Chef Pam's Kitchen. So this particular episode in Waukesha, I did the content producing myself on this one. So I didn't have a sidekick. It was close. I knew I could do my research when I needed to, and I kind of know, enough about Waukesha. So it was supposed to be a really easy episode for me to put together, and can I tell you, it really was.
Oh, good.
It really was. The mayor's office was terrific. The woman who runs the Convention and Visitors Bureau, Tammy, helped me out a ton. You introduce, and everybody knows everybody, so it's very easy to say, I want to do a story about Frame Park, but I don't want to do the traditional Frame Park story. Let's do it through the eyes of a photographer. Is there a photographer in town that we could, and then you get a call and suddenly it's like, oh, well, you should go talk to Tim. Tim shot for the Freeman forever. That's how that came up.
And Tim was great because Tim had no idea that I was really going to talk to him. Remember? He was like, "Oh, so you just want pictures?" I'm like, "Pictures? No, put your camera down. I'm going to talk to you."
We want you.
He was like, "Oh, what?"
But his wife was happy. She came along and tagged along to watch, and that was fun. And
Yeah.
Frame Park is such a beautiful spot. Oh my gosh, they have those boats you can rent. You can walk down. The Carroll College baseball field is right there. It's beautiful.
Yeah, we did Waukesha many years ago for Around the Corner, and that was in the back of my head, and I did not want to do the exact same things that I did in the same way that I did it. So to your point, Frame Park is big, and I wanted to get the park system in. How do I do it? And then I had the photographer idea, so it's kind of two birds with one stone, which I like, We kind of did that at Carroll as well, because we had done Carroll College in Around the Corner. And John, like you said, it's known for like nursing and business. So I didn't want to do nursing and business.
Right.
So they have, and I did not know this until we started our research, they have one of the only unmanned aviation program degrees that you can get. It's a 4-year degree, and I just call it the drone program, but of course there's so much more to it than that. Wasn't that interesting? I thought it was super interesting.
They had me fly in a drone out in the square, whatever they call it, the common area.
Should we enroll Brian in said program so his drone?
We tried not to shame him.
We love you,
that
Brian.
day.
We tried not to shame him.
We talked to Carmen De La Paz, an artist who is...
She's got an incredible story. And I made such a personal connection when we did the interviews, because Carmen freely shares that about 5 years ago now, she had a stroke. And to come back to where she is now she's a miracle. She's a walking, talking miracle, and a complete community advocate who is such a gem in Waukesha. And she's really involved in the Latino community and the Hispanic community, but she is a woman wood turner, and like her art revolves around these big tools and she's what, John? 5 feet tall. She's a tiny little thing, and she's doing these really incredible projects. She's doing one of the sculptures for the Parade Memorial, and her sculpture is going to be 2 hands with a heart in the middle that's going to be 6 feet tall or 10 feet tall. I can't remember what she said, but she's really an impressive person to talk to. As sweet as the day is long.
I woke up to a priest saying, "Are you prepared to die, and would you like your last rites?" I said, "Are you kidding me?"
I'm hungry.
I said, has it come to that? And this building is owned by La Casa de Esperanza, which is a very big community hub for Latinos here in Waukesha. And the CEO came to visit me, and I'm all wired up, John. I'm a mess.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if I get out of here, can I get that building? I swear.
She was great, and we also, so art-wise, we also talked to Doug Jarecki, who was in charge of the youth camp for the Waukesha Civic Theater. So they have training for young actors.
Which, can I tell you, if you don't know John McGivern, as soon as I say, okay, the kids' camp is going to be there. Emmy,
We know.
What do you think the reaction was?
There's a little
Can't
bit
wait.
of an eye roll.
Because he knows they're noisy and they don't listen. He's like, oh my God. Okay.
And then we're going to go to the dog pound.
Another
Kids
thing you
and
love.
animals.
Okay,
His
but
2 secret
were
loves.
you pleasantly surprised?
It was great. It sure is organized, and they have done an incredible job in bringing that building up to date. They've created
I wonder
new
if
space.
the Black Box is open now, because when we were there, they were getting ready to open their
Right.
new Black Box theater.
Oh, well, it's got to be fun. I mean, as an actor, to see like the next crop of
Not
young
really, but that's okay.
No,
They were dancing and singing Annie, and John was like, okay.
I hear they're
good.
looking for just a little mentor.
Yeah, not me.
Not so much?
No.
But when it comes to community, that's a really important part.
Oh, no,
what
no.
do the kids do in the summer? Those theater kids, and some kids that have never taken an improv class, a dancing class, an acting class, that's how you find out you have a spark.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely. For sure. I loved going to La Estacion, which
yeah.
used to be the train station in Waukesha, and they
Yep.
still have a rail car in the middle of the restaurant.
Yeah, yeah.
That was really cool.
And that's tied to the story across the street at Club 400.
Yes.
So that was all concocted to kind of flow together, and I think that really worked. Interesting history in Waukesha.
And we have to pay homage to Les Paul.
Oh, of
who
course.
was-
We did.
We did in the show,
did.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, you see the guitars, and there's guitars all around the city of Waukesha, thanks to Les.
Manufacturing in Waukesha is its history, and it's kind of and it's still all really there. You hear the manufacturing stories that are not so good. Waukesha's still got a ton of manufacturing. Now, I knew we wanted to do a manufacturing story, and of course I thought Waukesha Engine or Metal Tech, one of the big
Which
ones.
we did a little bit
We
in
did.
Waukesha Engine.
Until I found Urethane Systems Plus. And this is a gentleman who owns a business that makes
Urethane, it's called. What did I think first? Urethra. I'm like, there is going to be, this is a Foley catheter place that makes the catheters because it's called urethane. Until I, Googled it and was like, ooh, thank the Lord. Because what did they make?
They make not catheters.
Not catheters. No.
Baseball bases.
Baseball bases.
Baseball bases. And he's going to get up to the pro level, but right now he's one of only 2 manufacturers in the United States that makes these bases for, think T-ball, think all the way up to college ball. So, and think about all the parks and all the rec leagues and all the colleges and the high schools and that have baseball fields.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, these are bases. He makes a couple of different kinds, like the ones that are just turf bases that go down.
Sure.
He makes some that pop out that have T's on the bottom or
Right.
plugs on the bottom, but you don't understand what it is until you see him make it. And you have to admit, that was pretty cool.
I asked him his age, which I generally don't, just because I was like, how old a guy is. I couldn't tell if he was like in his 50s or if he was like in his early 70s. Like I couldn't tell. It was somewhere in, and it turned out that we were both 68 years old. And I was like, this is what 68 looks like.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you wondering how old I am?
Because now you can ask me since I asked you.
Right.
But it's a really good homegrown local business. He's very tied into the Hispanic community. He's got great workers. And so, yeah, we didn't do the big gigantic manufacturer, but that kind of manufacturing, I
Love it.
think, is what gives communities their heart, too.
Glad we did it.
Yeah.
You guys, I'm so excited to see the show now. I
Oh,
am.
wait, can I tell you where to find it?
Yes, please. Mainstreets.tv.
Thank you, Emmy.
So it was a great episode, Waukesha. And I want to,
Fan shout out.
sure,
Yes.
Judy Rude from Laval, Wisconsin. Do you know where Laval is?
Yes, there's a great cheese factory in Laval.
Okay, are you mad at me now?
No,
for not
sorry,
knowing?
I just get excited about cheese.
She's jealous of Judy. Judy,
Right.
we wish we lived in Laval.
Very
Judy,
good.
thanks for listening and watching.
Perfect. Waukesha, Wisconsin. We loved it.
Want to wear something that's going to support your favorite show? Shop at Main Street Store. Proceeds go to help us get next season into production, so come on, go shopping at mainstreets.tv.